Um, all right. Sorry for the hitches. I think I'm having some technical errors from my side. Sorry. Before continuing, can you see my screen once again? Sorry for that.
Yes, we can see, sir.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank
This
you.
is this is where we are. I was discussing on the motherboard. This is how the engine of the computer looks like. Basically, what we used to call the engine. It's comprised of different components. We are going to see what are these components, and we are going to see the function of some at during the course of explanation. This is what we know. This is the structure, how it looks like, and even most of the ones that are. And I think this is the motherboard that's for a bigger computer, which is not a laptop, just like we stated. But for the purpose of those that were not in the class, this one is for example, for the desktop computer. This is how the board looks like. So when you open it, we have something like this. Let's start from this arrow here. You can see my pointer, right? This is the DRAM memory slot. The DRAM memory slot. This is the power connector where you connect your computer to the electric source, where you connect your power cord or your charger to. This is the power connector. So whenever the computer has a problem that has to do with the power, mostly it is firstly searched for in this area. Then we now have what's known as the CPU sink and mounting point for fans. This is it, where you mount your fan, your cooling fan, that makes the board cool whenever it is hot. This is where we known as the CPU socket. The CPU socket here, this is where it is being connected. Then here we have what you know as the connectors for peripheral, e.g. audio, Ethernet, serial port, USB port. All these ones are ports. What we mean by port is where you connect an external device to the computer. So as you can see here, mostly this type of port, mostly it is used when connecting either your mouse. Before we have this type of mouse or this type of keyboard with this type of port, so you can use it to connect this. And this is the VGA port, VGA cable that's used in connecting either a video or an audio. Then for display. Then we also have, this is the, for example, the fax. The fax can be used here as well, and also it can be used for networking purpose. For the Ethernet, that the one you use cable for. They will also have these in which you can use your AV cable to connect to the computer. This is it. So there are different types and different purposes, and we have also what you know as the USB port. USB port also, it is, I think it is along this side here. So it is used in connecting universal serial buses, either a mouse, either a keyboard, either a flash, either any other peripheral device that is being connected. We also have what's known as the AGP port. This is the AGP port that is also used for the purpose of expanding the functionality of the CPU. And you also have what you know as the backup battery, which we know as the CMOS battery. The CMOS battery, it is the one that is responsible in holding some information of the computer so that it continues working even when you switch off the computer. It's another battery, not the normal battery you use, maybe your UPS or the laptop battery, you know. So this battery, you see, it's like the battery of a watch. So it is one that makes it is the one that mostly holds some very important information that has to be continuously synchronized, just like your timing and your date. So this is what is responsible for making the computer to have to hold that memory. It is one charging the part of the computer that is responsible for that, some part of the BIOS. And we now have the PCI slot. The PCI slot in the computer, the PCI slot in the computer, it allows the motherboard to connect with the PC, that is most in terms of the most critical components, and provide key functionalities. So there are things that, for example, when your computer comes with a certain memory or a graphic memory that doesn't suit you, and you want to increase the functionality, or you want to increase the graphic card, so you can attach it to this place, just like the way we apply cartridges. So this is where you apply. So you can see your computer will now have a better display, or it could have some better um, functionality that has to do with the video conversion or so on. So now have what's known as the South Bridge as well. This is the South Bridge, and this is the ROM, ROM that I talked about. That we should take note that the ROM is different from the ROM is different from the hard disk actually. So this is one. Then we have another typical example, which is, I think you can see this one more better. These are some part of the things we discussed earlier, and we are going to see them. So this is labeled, it is labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So most importantly, it is similar to the one we discussed earlier, but we are going to as well see some of their functionalities based on what we have discussed. So one of these, something here we have is the mouse and keyboard. The mouse and keyboard as well, they have been connected to the computer through the ports. We discussed on the ports here. You can have this 1 and 2. There are ports here in which you can connect your computer. You can connect your CPU, your mouse, or your external keyboard. And those computer, for example, the laptops, that their keyboard, it is on board. So you will always find the connector of the keyboard in a side. As I said, every board, the boards are of different categories. So this is where you will do that. And we stated that the mouse and the keyboard, these are the primary input devices. That is, a standard computer has 105. We've discussed this. While mouse is also an input device that allows you to control a pointer on the screen. The mouse can be used to issue commands, draw, and perform other type of input tasks. We now have the USB. The USB stands for Universal Serial Bus. It is the general purpose connection for PC. You can find USB versions of many different devices, such as mice, keyboards, scanners, cameras, even printers, and some other components. Then you have also what known as a parallel port. The parallel port, as stated, most printers use a special connector called the parallel port. Just like we have it here. Mostly you see that the printer, it is connected. I don't know if you can see my screen very well. Please, can you all see? This is the parallel.
Yes, we can.
Okay, this is the parallel port here. You see that if you want to connect your printer, you see mostly they come with something like this. It looks just like the fax cable. So this is how it is. So this is where we call it the parallel. We call it the parallel port. So we now also have what we know as the CPU chip. The CPU chip, you say the processor has a square array of pins, pin grid array, PGA, CPU packing them insert into a matching socket on the motherboard. Just like we have it here, you can see here, you can see where Intel is written here. So this is where the main processor of the computer is. That is the microprocessor that is used. This is the main CPU of a computer, where the central processing unit of the computer, where all functions, all processing, everything is being organized here. But don't forget, we have the story differently, but anything, don't forget, we say that the computer, the main function of the computer is to process. So this is all where the processes takes place, that is in charge of that. So also have, I think I supposed to say the meaning of the AGP spot, the AGP slot here. You can see something here, the AGP slot here. This is what we know. The meaning of the AGP slot is I think the meaning of AGP is accelerated graphics port. Accelerated graphics port. You will see some people will tell you that your computer is not a graphics computer. So I think that is more of an advance, maybe when you come to the advanced aspect. So this display, that is why you see that some computers, when you install some applications, like some streaming application, which they use in streaming different screens, or which they use in studio, or which they use in games. So those type of application, they are very huge. They occupy many space, and they render video at a very high high demand. So your computer might not have that opportunity to render those type of videos, that is to render those type of images as it is required. So it is expected that you have a computer that has a very high graphics card, or you could insert a graphics card by adding to this AGP slot. So we now have what you know as the RAM slot. This is the RAM slot. You can see here. The RAM is also assists in, as I said, in holding temporary information on your computer, just like we stated in our last class, that the RAM is one responsible for running temporary files on your computer. Whenever you are running on your computer, sometimes you see that somebody is running 10 applications at a time. You see that his computer will not cope, it will continue working fine. And you see somebody trying to open 5 applications and his own computer is giving him headache. Please, I think Zakaria Muhammad, you can mute yourself. Okay, yes, you see that someone's phone or computer can accommodate 10 applications at a time. And you see that another computer cannot accommodate even 5 applications at a time. When you open 5 applications on your phone or on your computer, you see that it starts getting slow. And somebody will open 10 and you see that it's everything is moving fast. It's because the RAM space is very high. Maybe it's higher than yours. So that means the RAM could be able to accommodate many things at a time. So it's like someone is raising his hand or saying something. Someone is saying something? Okay. Zakaria Muhammad, I think you are unmuting yourself, please. Kindly mute your mic, please. Zakaria Muhammad, you are raising your hand. Any problem? You can speak up. What's the problem, please? Hello, Zakaria Muhammad. Okay, I think that's
Hello.
Yes, hello, I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go on.
Okay. Sorry, I want to apologize for joining the class late.
No problem. You're welcome.
Okay, and really appreciate the effort for your best.
Bluetooth mode.
Our teaming youth are getting more enlightened about this information. May Allah reward you most.
Amin, ya Rab. Thank you so much, Malan Zakaria. Thank you, I appreciate. Okay, let's continue the class. Maybe at the end of the class, we could have some other discussions, inshallah. Okay, Man Zakaria, do you want to say something? Sorry, we are on the class already. Okay, I think that's an oversight. Okay, I think let's conclude the class. At the end of the class, we could have some better discussions, inshallah. Thank you so much. So I was discussing on RAM. I think I'm done discussing the RAM. So We now have what we know as the, okay. So this is where, as you can see here, okay, we now have what you know as a floppy controller. The floppy drive connects to the computer via the 34-pin ribbon cable, which in turn connects to the motherboard. A floppy controller is one that is used to control the floppy drive. We explained the floppy drive in our previous class, which I think this is it. This is the floppy disk, or you can call it a floppy drive. So it is one that is responsible in reading what is here, or that is used to attach to the computer. So we now have what we know as the IDE controller, which is the industry standard defined, industry standard define two common types of hard drives, that is the EIDE and the SCSI. Majority of the PCs use the EIDE drives. So the drives, this is the hard disk. What differentiates, this is the hard disk as we stated last week. So they are of two types. There's one we know as the IDE, and also we also call the other one the SATA. So this one, it is what differentiates them. It is in this this component here, that is, let me just say, the mouth. So you see that there is difference in the way this one is constructed and the other IDE. So mostly this type of the hard disk, or the storage disk here, it is mostly higher than those that are known as the IDE, the ordinary IDE. You see, this one can be up to 150 gig, it can be 160 gig, so it can be up to 250 gig, it can be up to 360 gig, it can be up to 500 gig, it can be up to 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, and so on. But mostly those that are ordinary IDE, which previously are mostly used by some computers that they are outdated. You see that those one, they are mostly 80 gig maybe or lower. So that's with the advancement, you now have the EIDE, which is now in common. So we now have what you know as a PCI slots. The PCI slots, as stated, intended to introduce the peripheral component interconnect bus control. The meaning of PCI is peripheral component interconnect bus control. It allows, the PCI bus is used to connect devices such as the NIC or RAID controllers. These are controllers that are connected to the computer to increase functionality of a specific purpose. So the main logic of the computer, the PCI bus has replaced the ISA bus. So these are things that I think could be more understood if we could have a more physical or a audiovisual. Maybe I will share some video that typically explains this better, so that you get acquainted to it more better. So at the end of the class, hopefully. So we now have what you know as the CPU chip, that is, the processor has a square array of pins, as I stated. Okay, sorry, we are done with this. Then we have the CMOS battery. As I explained the other time, we have what you know as the CMOS battery, which is, look at it here, this number 10. This is the CMOS battery. It's one that powers the computer whenever your main computer battery is down, or when you don't have a light source. It is one that makes your BIOS, the BIOS of the computer to be working actively. It also powers the ROM. It makes the ROM to continue working even when there is no charge in your main computer battery. So as I said, it looks like the battery of the watch, and it can be used for many times. Sometimes it also gets low, it can be replaced, it can be changed. So that is why sometimes you keep on setting the time and date of your computer, or you keep setting some things and it kept something that's with the BIOS, and that thing kept changing itself, or it doesn't hold the information you are giving or the command. So possibly it might be that it is the CMOS battery that had a problem. And this is the microprocessor that we just finished talking about, as I stated earlier. So we now have the AGP port, which I say the meaning of AGP is Advanced Graphics Port. It's a slot. The Advanced Graphics Port slot is single connector that looks like PCI slot, but slightly shorter and usually brown, just like we have it here. I think this is it here. It is something, okay, sorry, it is something here. This is it here. You see, it is shorter than this place and this one, as you can see it. Than this port, it is shorter than them, and it is shorter than this for the graphics card and the RAM and so on. So this is where actually you connect those type of cards that allows the computer to work more perfectly or to add more functionality to the computer. So we now have what you know as the CPU slot. The socket contains hundreds of metal connector for the metal pin or balls on the bottom of the processor. These connections supply power to the processor and transport data to and fro from the computer other components. You can only upgrade your computer's processor with one that is used the same socket type. I think this is the CPU, this is the socket here we are talking. You see this white thing here? It is the one that houses the processor. So you can change the processor of your computer, but you have to be determined on what type of processor does your computer have. So you can't replace an incompatible processor with the other. So you have to take cognizance of what type of processor needs to be changed. That is why sometimes when your computer have a problem, the engineers or the technicians will ask you what they have to see the type of the board or the type of the computer or the type of the motherboard before they can determine what type of component needs to be changed and need to be replaced. So we now have what we know as the plug-in power supply. This is the plug-in power supply here. This is the plug, where is it? Sorry. This is the plug-in power supply that is responsible for powering the computer, maybe with your charger or your power cable, as case may be. So basically, these are some of the components of on the motherboard. I believe we are all familiarized with some things and how they function. As they say, as its name implies, provide necessary electrical power to make the PC operate. The power supply takes standard of 110 volt AC power and converts into 12 volt, 5 volt, 3.3 volt DC power. So you have to take cognizance whenever also you are buying a charger of a computer. What is the input and what is the output? So whenever you use a higher computer with a higher voltage, or it provides the input is higher, the input is higher than what is required by your computer, so it might end up damaging your computer because you are supplying it with a charger that is higher than its efficiency. And at the same time, sometimes you will be charging a computer and it will not charge. It's possible that your charger has a lower voltage compared to the requirement of your computer. So these are the things that needs to be taken into cognizance for someone who is using a computer or who is purchasing a computer or someone who is going into software and hardwares. So that is that. So now we are now going to the next, which is, I think, sorry. Okay, we're supposed to have something played over here. Let me see if I have linked up the video. Sorry. Let me see if I can play the video over here. Sorry, can you see the video I'm playing? Can we all see the video I'm playing, please?
Yes.
Okay, please.
Yes.
It will give you. Sorry, let me replay it.
Okay, okay, too.
I think it's getting slower over here. So possibly I'll be saying something while the video is being played. So it's going to give us a summary of what it says. Sorry. I think we've already, by bone of contention is, okay, this is the input devices which we also discussed. There is a point actually, sorry, I want to locate. Yes, this is the motherboard which I just finished this course. I believe this one has a more colored graphics for you to see them one by one. That is the reason why I'm playing this video. As you can see, this one has 34 pins, while the other. So this is how the CMOS battery looks like, as I stated earlier. Here's two ports used to connect keyboard. I believe we've all discussed all this. Sorry. So this is how they are, which is also called the BGA. Sorry, the second one is the VGA, sorry. While the serial port is one that contains the 9 pins. I believe all these are what's shown in the motherboard. I believe you can pick one by one. So this is how the game port also looks like. The SCSI port. So this is the power supply that we discussed. So I think we did not discuss this. It's so these are what are being differentiated or being cropped for you to see. This is how they look generally on the back of the motherboard. So I think this is all uh, we ought to discuss, and I hope you are able to familiarize yourself again with some better things which I did during the presentation. So hopefully, inshallah, this is where we are going to stop. We have 4 minutes remaining, and I think we are going to have a conclusive part of the class, which is computer software. I think it's not going to take us more than 15 minutes, so we could finish up the class as soon as possible. So with the 3 minutes we have so far on what we have discussed on the hardware, if there is anyone with a question, please, you can ask your question or mute yourself so that we could, before we go into the software, which is another subtopic and very interesting part of the class. So please, is there anyone with a question or any misconception or any contribution? You can unmute yourself. We only have 3 minutes, so I want us to use the 3 minutes to round up the hardware, please. Yes. I think I have Abdul Qadir, Lawal, Mariam, Tark, Nasir, Zahardin. Anyone with a question, please? Okay, someone is raising his hand. Yes, you are observed. You can unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself, please, and say what you want to say. Abdul Qadir, are you saying something?
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Hello, I hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yo, I have a question.
You're welcome.
Regarding what have you taught this computer component?
Yes.
So now if a question was thrown, a person approach a question, what are the basic computer components? What's supposed to be the answer of this? The basic component of computer, what are the basic components?
The basic component of the computer, as I stated last class, is I said it's actually divided into two.
Okay.
But the main one, it is a central processing unit, which is the CPU.
Okay.
Yes, the CPU, or which you can call the microprocessor of the computer. So all other peripherals are what are connected to it. And as I said, stated that everything could be found on the motherboard. So the basic one, the one that gives rise to all other, that gives others avenue to perform their task, it is the motherboard.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if I get your question or I answered it.
Eh?
I don't know.
Hello?
Do you get hello? Do you get me?
Yeah, yeah, I get you.
Okay.
I understand. Thank you.
So also, so any other person, please, apart from Abdul Qadir? Okay. I think in the absence of any other question, we are going to stop here and I will share the new link so you could join in first. Thank you for your attendance. So we now move to the software when we come back. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.